Hello there everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Clarissa and I do put out new pick a card readings once a week. This week, as you can tell by the title of the video, we're going to be focusing on messages from your inner child. So I have some cute little cartoon, I think these are like pop figurines is what they're called. But I have these like cute little cartoon characters that we'll go through here in a minute for you to choose from, to indicate like which pile you're the most drawn to for today's reading. But essentially, like, I just wanted to get a message from your inner child. So my goal with this reading was, if your inner child could speak up for a moment, if they could let their voice be known, what would they tell you that they're needing? What would they give to you as a message? What do they want you to know? And then also I looked at like kind of what the archetype of your inner child would be as well, and their like personality, their demeanor. So anyway, for this week we have 3 different piles for you guys to choose from. For the first pile number 1, we have SpongeBob here, and Gary to signify pile number 1. For pile number 2, we have Pumbaa from The Lion King. And then for pile number 3, we have Gerald from Hey Arnold. If you're too young to know about any of these characters, then just pick whatever one you are the most drawn to, or whichever one draws your eye in most. There are also timestamps in the description box down below. Maybe your lucky number will be in those. I always put an emoji next to them as well. Maybe one of your favorite emojis will be in there. However you want to choose is completely up to you. But I do want you to take a minute, pause the video if you need to decide which pile you are the most drawn to. And then, like I said, you'll want to go to that description box down below. You'll be able to click on the timestamp for the video that corresponds with your pile, and then go directly to your reading for today. So thank you so much for joining me, guys. I really hope that this helps you and may even help start some inner child work for some of you guys. And I hope that these messages resonate for you today and they provide you some level of clarity and guidance. Again, thanks so much, guys, for joining me, and I'll see you shortly in your reading. Hi there, pile number 1. As a reminder, if you picked SpongeBob for your little cartoon character at the beginning, then this is your reading for this week in regard to messages that your inner child has for you. So let's go ahead and we'll get into your reading. I do want to preface and let you guys know, my air conditioning is out again. It's so lovely. We just love it so much. But my AC is out again, so if you hear the fan going on in the background, that's why. I also have the blinds closed, so I apologize if the lighting isn't the best today. But anyway, I gotta survive. It is hot outside, and yeah, so I've got the fan going, but I hope it doesn't disturb you too much. I hope that, if anything, it just kind of provides a little bit of white noise in the background. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get into your reading for this week. So again, like I said, this is about messages from your inner child that your inner child has for you. So starting off here, we have the Warrior, we have Clarity, and we have Agreement. So with these cards here from the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck, I was really wanting to, get an idea as to obviously the archetype, the persona of your inner child. And so the Warrior came out for you guys. I'd really like to read the excerpt from the book for you in regard to the Warrior, because they just do such a good job with the description. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the book here. And again, this is the Wild Unknown Archetypes guidebook that comes along with the deck. So we'll just go ahead and look at what it has to say about the Warrior here. So the Warrior, the Samurai, the Soldier, the Advocate. We often envision the Warrior as an armored figure with sword in hand, moving blindly toward battle. Yet the deeper aspects of this archetype bring us face to face with death itself. The warrior stands precariously at the edge of life and death, trusting the eternal to guide the sword's blade. The warrior's work requires presence, alignment, and purpose. If and when the warrior loses its center, meaningless confrontations and violence are their default response. When this card appears, it is important to question the battle at hand. It is likely a great one with deep roots and long-standing tensions. The actions you take will stay with you long after the dust settles, so choose wisely, brave one. As you draw your sword, realign with the eternal wisdom within, then surrender to the battle. Okay, so for me, when you got this card, I have always really liked the description that they have for the warrior in this book, but I really do feel like essentially what I'm getting from like this card popping up for you is that your inner child is fierce. I feel like there may have been some things that went on like in your childhood that made your inner child very guarded, very protective of themselves. Perhaps you grew up in a household where you weren't really able to speak your mind often. And so your inner child kind of like built this wall around themselves, right? And it's like your inner child has been preparing for battle their whole life, for the time when they're finally able to stand up for themselves. And like, I just want you to know that you are able to stand up for yourself now. You're able to speak your truth and tell people how you feel, and you know, you don't have to worry about backlash from other people anymore. I'm assuming that the majority of you that are watching this are adults, and if that's the case, then you don't have to censor yourself for anyone anymore. You are able to speak up and tap into the ferocity that is the warrior. Now, I will say that one thing that stuck out to me in that description is the idea in there of balance. When you become off kilter and unbalanced, that's when, you know, you're more likely to attack violently and like with a lot of heated emotion. And so what I will say is that while there's nothing wrong with the way that you feel and your emotions, when you're dealing with people that activate like that scared inner child, or that inner child like narrative that, you know, maybe you have to people please or you have to keep quiet to, you know, make other people feel comfortable and satisfied. Sorry, I like totally lost my train of thought there. ADHD for you. But anyway, what I was saying essentially is that when people like tap into that role that you've given yourself, whether it be that you have to be a people pleaser or that you have to act a certain way for people to like you or even love you, that is when we come from like our emotional center. And when our emotional center is activated, a lot of the time it's hard for us to have a civil discussion with people because we automatically fall into anger or we get upset or whatever. And like I said, it's not wrong that you have those feelings, but you may want to step back more into your logical brain and become a little bit more observational of like what's being said and how other people are acting, because at the end of it all, like, you need to be able to express yourself and articulate yourself to the best of your ability and then let it go. Because the thing is that as a child, I do get the sense that a lot of you were censored and you weren't able to express your feelings. And because of that, we'll continue to censor ourselves and not say how we truly feel in adulthood as well. And, you know, it's time for us to get past that point. You need to express yourself, but you also have to understand that it's not always going to make other people change. Just because you express yourself and you lay your emotions on the table, you can't expect for an emotional response from somebody else or for somebody else to even understand where you're coming from. And that's really hard to wrap our minds around, especially like our childlike minds, our inner child thinking that, like, having this magical thinking of, you know, if I act a certain way or if I become something or if I do something, other people will love me and respect me. If I share my emotions with my parents or with family members or with those who have wronged me in the past, you know, they'll have a change of heart. And that's not always the case. Like, we can't expect other people to have a certain reaction to us or have a certain like emotionally charged response to the things that we put out there, because not everybody is at the same level that you are. Not everybody is able to understand other people's emotions because they can't even understand their own, okay? And so I think that what essentially this is saying too is like making sure that your mind is clear and focused on like the outcome of the situation that you're wanting, as opposed to like the emotional rewards that you're hoping for from that interaction with those people. So that's just one thing to keep in mind, and that may not be for all of you, but for some reason I'm really like getting that specific message for at least a couple of you out there that are watching. But again, you know, for a lot of you, you really just need to tap into this ability to express yourself, but also like protect yourself. And what I mean by that is like not allowing other people's perceptions of you, or like what they think you should be like, or how they think you should act. Don't let them implant that and put that on you, because, you know, at the end of the day, they're entitled to their feelings, you're entitled to yours, and you don't have to bend and be somebody else for the people that you're around. You just need to work on being authentically yourself and truly like standing up for yourself, validating yourself, because at the end of the day, like, we don't need other people to validate us. You are able to validate yourself. And, you know, that's the thing with doing inner child work, is you're able to tap into who you were as a child. You're able to talk with that childlike version of yourself and let that version know that they are safe with you as like your adult self, and that you will take care of them and you will stand up for them and you will protect them by doing those things actively, like in your adult life. Don't let other people steamroll you. Don't let other people, you know, again, put their shit onto you. Don't let other people project onto you, or, you know, make you feel guilty or shameful for, you know, not doing certain things. It's okay to have boundaries and limitations with people. And I think that one thing here, especially with agreement coming out, is that it's very important for you to remain balanced in these situations. Do not let your subconscious mind, or like this programming that has happened from you to you at an early age, of thinking that you have to be a certain way or you have to act a certain way for other people to appreciate and love you. Don't let that overtake you, because then you will get too bogged down in your emotional center and you won't be able to reach the outcome that you're wanting from an interaction with people, or you won't be able to like fully express yourself like articulately, because you'll be so wound up in the emotion. And again, I'm not saying that you can't be emotional and that you like can't be tapped into how you feel, but sometimes when we're having interactions with other people, we do have to do it in a logical sense, and we have to like be more observational and logical than emotional, because then these encounters with other people will just deteriorate. That's what I really feel like with the warrior here, is that you need to remain balanced, you need to remain of sound mind, you need to remain grounded and tapped into yourself and just expressing the things that you need or want or feel. And all you can do is lay that out on the table, and other people will take with that what they want, okay? Or they will do with that what they want, is what I mean. So, you know, we can't control how other people respond to us, or, you know, what they do with the information that we give them. All we can do is share our feelings. That's it. So yeah, I really do feel like that's why both of these cards are coming up as well, because again, you need to get clear on like what your actual intentions are with relationships with other people, and you need to clear your mind too of a lot of the clutter that may be there from childhood. You know, our subconscious mind is programmed by the time we're like 8 years old, which is just insane to me. So these things that like your parents may have told you about the world or about yourself, or, you know, that voice that's super negative in your head that you hear, you need to find a way to silence that voice, and also like you need to find a way to check it when it comes up, and to, you know, not get so wrapped up in the negativity that it presents. So yeah, really focus on getting clear with your mind and your intentions, and then come to a place of balance within yourself. Okay, so as long, like, how do I want to say this? So what I want to say is, like, with agreement, it's okay to express your feelings, but understand that other people don't have to respect that, or they don't even have to, I don't want to say respect, that's not like a good term for it. What I mean is other people, like, that doesn't mean that they're going to change or do things differently because you told them how you feel. All you can do is tell them how you feel, set boundaries, and, like, be done with it, right? But you need to come to agreement with yourself as to, like, what that is, what you need, what you feel, and you need to understand that when we're having, like, conversations with people that have hurt us, that may not be in the same, like, state of mind that we are, that may not think the same way that we do, and that may not even be, like, open to hearing feelings and talking about emotions, we really need to understand that our outcomes for, like, the conversation can't be emotionally based. So for instance, if you're having a conversation with a parent about something that they did that hurt your feelings, all you can do is tell them, like, all you can do is tell them about what they did, how it hurt you, and lay that out on the table, and then you can't expect them to change. So your outcome for that situation could simply be something as, like, as simple as, I expressed myself, I spoke up for myself and relayed my emotions clearly. And that's all that we can do, okay? So yeah, that's why I feel like these cards are coming up currently for you. Let's go ahead and look at your tarot cards as well to get any additional information. I'm sorry if it's, like, seems like I'm all over the place. I'm just trying to, like, do my best to explain it because it makes sense in my head, but, like, I'm doing my best to, like, put it out into words for you. So I apologize if I'm not wording well today. It is hot, so my brain is here, but it's like it's working probably at like 80%. So give me a little bit of grace there. So we also have for you the Star, we have the Magician, we have the Page of Pentacles, we have the Five of Cups, and we have the King of Cups. Okay, let me move these over a bit, and then we'll make sure that you guys can still see everything okay. Let's see here. Okay, everything's still in range. Perfect. Let me just get a drink of water here real quick, guys, and then we'll go over this as well. Okay. So, with the Star coming up here, I feel like your inner child may still be stuck in this mindset, this like healing fantasy, essentially, that if they act a certain way, or if they fall into a certain role that, like, parents or other people in the family, or even, like, friends or significant other want them to be in, that they will be lovable. And it's like they're holding on to this hope that somebody will come and, like, give them the validation and the love that they need. And I really, like, want you to know that right now you need to be the one to validate your inner child, okay? You need to be the one to sit down with your inner child, and it can literally be as simple as, like, doing, like, a meditation practice. There are a lot of meditation practices on YouTube with, like, meeting your inner child and having, like, a conversation with them. Personally, I like to look at pictures of myself when I was a child and talk to that, like, younger version of myself, because that to me helps, like, visualize the connection. But I really think that you need to be the one to rescue your inner child. You need to be the one that goes there and, like, validates the way that they're feeling, tells them that they understand their pain, they understand the difficulties that they went through, and that they will be the one here to take care of them now. That you will be the one to protect your inner child, validate your inner child, stick up for your inner child, because at the end of the day, we do need to do those things for ourselves. You know, we can't always rely on other people to validate our emotions and the way that we feel about something. We have to do that for ourselves and know that like our feelings are valid and our experiences are valid. And no matter what anybody says, like, you know, for some of you, I get this overwhelming feeling that there was a parent that made you feel this way. But if a parent invalidated you growing up, we can't then expect that parent to validate us in our experiences that we had in childhood. It's okay to tell them that you had these issues and that, you know, you feel a certain way about the way that they treated you, the way that they acted. But again, all you can do is tell them how you feel. So stick up for yourself and know that there is hope, there is light at the end of the tunnel, but like you're the one that is the source of that light, okay? And for a lot of you, I feel like maybe you haven't ever done inner child work, you haven't ever talked to your inner child or tapped into your inner child, and it's like your inner child is waiting for you. They're waiting for you to see them and to validate them and to give them the love that they may have never gotten in childhood from a parent. That validation, that emotional connection, that love that they had been waiting on. I also think that your inner child wants you to know that if you take the time to work on healing, you take the time to make that connection, you'll see that you are the creator of your own world. You have the ability to create anything that you want to make anything your reality. And I think that because we may have had some issues in our past, that not only were we invalidated, but it's like we were also suppressed to the point of thinking we're powerless. And you are not powerless. Your inner child wants you to know that you are super powerful and you have the ability to rectify the situation. You have the ability to speak up for yourself now and to listen to yourself and the things that you're wanting out of life. But you're the one that ultimately holds that power within yourself, and you have to let it come into fruition. Don't allow other people's things that they projected onto you, whether they told you that you weren't smart enough, you weren't talented enough, you weren't good enough, you didn't behave well enough, you were whatever. Don't let their bullshit stop you still as an adult from accomplishing the things that you want and attaining the life that you want. Don't allow yourself to fall into the same patterns that your parents did and their parents did and their parents did and their parents did. I really feel like a lot of you that are watching this are like generational trauma breakers, okay? This bullshit that was put on to children in your family stops with you, okay? And you may be a child of emotionally immature parents. You may be a child of a narcissist. You may be a child of a parent with a slew of different, mental health disorders. And you have to come to the realization that when you are a child of those kind of people, a lot of the time they are too self-absorbed and self-involved to give you the things that you need in childhood. So you need to be the one to give yourself those things now. Do not continue to neglect yourself. I feel like a lot of you fell into the role of, let me take care of everybody else and do things for everyone else because then I will be lovable. You are already lovable just as you are. You are enough just as you are. You don't need to do anything extra for anyone to be more worthy of love than you are now. And it's time that you give yourself that love, that validation, that affection, and you emotionally connect with yourself. And then also you look for people in your life that are on the same level as you are in terms of emotional maturity, in terms of wanting to have a connection. you seek those people out and you allow those people into your life. Because I will say that it's much more fulfilling to have a relationship with somebody, whether it be platonic or romantic, that is emotionally fulfilling, where you both can talk about the way that you feel openly and the other person doesn't get offended or think that you're belittling them for expressing how you feel. And they also take your feelings into account and try to do and be better because they understand and they don't want to be the source of emotional pain or trauma for you, okay? So really, I feel like your inner child wants you to know that you need to do a lot of work in healing, but to understand that at the end of the day, you're the one that has the ability to change your life and change your outlook. No one else can do that for you, okay? With the Page of Pentacles coming up, I feel like this is your inner child's call to ask you to reconnect with yourself. Again, I feel like a lot of you were emotionally neglected as children in childhood, and because of that, you neglect yourselves now. And it's hard because a lot of you may have grown up in a household where you were told it was selfish to put yourself and your needs above other people. You have no obligation to anyone else but you. You have to take care of you. You can't take care of other people and help other people if you aren't even taking care of yourself. So I feel like the Page of Pentacles here is a call from your inner child to start honoring yourself, honoring your needs, honoring your body, and taking care of you, providing yourself with more physical self-care and love, whether that be, getting out into nature, taking light walks, drinking water, making sure you eat more fruits and vegetables in your day, making sure that you don't overextend yourself so you're exhausted by helping other people, making sure that you have healthy boundaries with people and you don't, again, overextend yourself or push yourself beyond your limits. So really, your inner child wants you to take care of yourself. They really truly see that you have been neglecting yourself and they want you to love them and take care of them, just as you would anybody else. With the Five of Cups, I feel a lot of pain and sorrow that you've dealt with in your life. I feel a lot of loneliness. I feel like other people have invalidated you so much that you feel alone. You feel like people don't understand you. And you lack this emotional connection that you need with other people. It's actually really funny because something else that I'm seeing in the cards is, you see how there's almost looks like a little swirling portal here, right? And then it looks the same here in the Magician, but this is the other side, right? This is you coming through to the other side and recognizing your own power and your own ability to heal and to take care of yourself and to validate yourself and to love yourself. And I feel like for a long time you've been stuck here because you deeply want your inner child to be validated, and you as a child needed somebody to emotionally connect with you and love you. And I feel like you've been stuck here for a really long time because it's again, you feel helpless. You feel like there's nothing that can be done, that you attract bad people into your life, that no matter what you do for your parents, for your spouse, for your loved ones, for your friends, you're never good enough. And you need to recognize as well that you are good enough, like I said earlier. But again, you have the ability to create whatever you want and make whatever you want out of your life, and the ability to show yourself love and connection. Because truthfully, the older I get, the more I believe the verbiage of, if we do not love ourselves, we cannot fully love another person. Because if we don't fully love ourselves and show ourselves grace, compassion, empathy, we cannot show those things to someone else, okay? We can to an extent, but not in the unconditional way that we want to be loved. We can't give that to other people. So yeah, truly, like, you need to work on that, but like, your inner child wants you to know that there is a way through this, okay? There is light at the end of the tunnel. There's going to be some darkness. There's going to be a lot that has to be unpacked and worked on. But at the end of it, you know, we have the magician, who is the ultimate creator of their physical world and the things that they want to come to fruition. And also, like, this, what I'm hearing is like transforming this heartache, this loneliness into love and courage and compassion. You have the ability to transform that. So do it. Transform that. Transform it and take care of yourself and your life. With the King of Cups coming up, I really do feel like you need to do a better job of connecting with your emotions and really allowing yourself to feel your emotions. I mean, look at the King of Cups here. He's not overwhelmed by his emotions here. Like, if the water is his emotional state, he's sitting with them and really letting them flow and acknowledging them as they come up. And, you know, also sitting there and thinking, like, not thinking good or bad of the way that he feels, just allowing himself to feel it, process it, work through it. And you really need to get to a place where you're able to do that, because again, your feelings are valid. The way that you feel is always valid. But again, too, with the King of Cups, he's in such an emotional state of harmony that he understands that he is the only one that can control how he feels, and he doesn't have control over other people and how they feel, right? He has complete control over how he responds to his emotions, and his ability to acknowledge them and feel them. But he can't control how other people perceive him and how other people feel towards him. He can only feel the way that he does, let himself sit with it, let himself feel it fully, let himself cry or be angry or be happy if he needs to, and then move on. That's all that we can really do, is sit down with our emotions, allow them to be present, allow ourselves to maybe even sit there and say, why do I feel like this? What's going on? Okay, I feel like this because of XYZ. All right, that's cool. Let me just feel it for a while. Let me sit in it. Let me feel it. Because I feel like so often, because a lot of you have been in like this people pleaser mentality, you've taken care of everyone since childhood, that you have neglected yourself, and you like push down the emotions that you don't want to feel. And we can't do that. We have to let ourselves feel our feelings. Otherwise, they just come back up. It's like the same idea with like dieting and why dieting never works. Because when you diet and you restrict yourself from things, your mind fixates on wanting that. So if you tell yourself, we're dieting, we can't have the chocolate cake, your mind is going to fixate on the chocolate cake. To the point of when you do finally allow yourself to have it again, all you're going to do is binge on it. Whereas you could have just let yourself have the chocolate cake and moved on with your life. You could have just let yourself feel your feelings and moved on with your life. The things that we suppress are the things that most need to be heard, and they're the things that will continue to come up for us. So I really think you need to take some time to evaluate your emotions and allow yourself to feel them. And know that there's no good or bad in the way that you feel. Feelings are neutral in terms of like their morality. It's okay to feel certain things, okay? Let's go ahead. Let me take a drink of water here again, and we'll look at the rest of your oracle cards here to see if we can get any more information from your inner child and what they want you to know. So first we have exchanging gifts. Then we have Starseed, what lights you up. And then I used the Sacred Self-Care deck today as well, because I wanted to see like what your inner child had to say in terms of ways that you can take care of your inner child, and like help with that healing process, as well as like taking care of yourself to then take care of your inner child. So from that deck we have Clean Your Space, and we have hydrate. Okay. So, let me make sure you guys can still see. Okay, perfect. So, first off, with exchanging gifts, I think that something that your inner child really wants you to recognize is that we have to be very cognizant of the things that people actually provide us in our lives, right? We can't be like the overgiver of our empathy, of our compassion, of our kindness, of our time, of our energy to other people who don't give it back to us. So I feel like your inner child is really wanting you to try and make connections with people that give you as much as they receive from you, right? And I mean that in terms of like love and support and connection and like emotional bond. Like, you need to get to the point where it's like you guys are constantly like giving and receiving to each other, and one person isn't taking more than the other is able to give, and vice versa. But also, like, this could be a call to examine some of the relationships that you currently have in your life and understand that not everybody is worthy of your time and your energy. It's okay to create boundaries with people that our energy sucks or time sucks. And don't feel bad about it, because the thing is, if you sit there and really examine those relationships, you'll most likely find that when you allow yourself to be open and giving with those people, you feel the most drained at the end of those interactions because you gave too much of yourself away. The other person got more from you than you got from them. And you need to like work on creating that balance where you don't give up too much of your emotional self to people that aren't worthy and deserving of it. I'm not saying like don't be kind to other people, but don't like go out of your way to do things for people that wouldn't do the same for you. Don't give so much of your emotional self to somebody who wouldn't return that to you and doesn't even have the capacity to do that. Make sure that you really focus and give into those relationships where you feel loved and honored and you feel seen, you feel like that person understands you and you understand them, and you guys continue to be open and honest with each other so you can continue to grow and know more about each other and understand one another, okay? So I feel like that's why this card is coming up. It's like a reminder from your inner child that, you know, your inner child, it sounds like, did a lot of giving and gave a lot up of themselves to be seen as lovable by, you know, their parent or their family member or, you know, whoever. And your inner child doesn't want you to do that anymore. Your inner child wants you to know that it's okay to set boundaries with people, and that it's okay to like want to be loved and appreciated by people, and to focus and give to those relationships that do that for you, okay? With Starseed, what lights you up coming out? So some of you may like know what starseeds are and may feel like you're a starseed, and this could be like confirmation for you that this is your pile and you picked the right pile. I really want to address the what lights you up portion of this card, because I think that you did so much suppressing of yourself. And if you really sit there and examine your actions and the way that you feel about people, of certain relationships, certain people, certain situations, you'll come to the understanding that you've done a lot of suppression of who you are. Because I do feel like a lot of you grew up in households where you felt misunderstood. You felt like no one got you, no one understood you. And that's a very lonely feeling for a child, especially when you feel like you can't make emotional connections with people because they don't understand you. That is very heartbreaking. And I want you to know that your inner child recognizes this and wants you to focus more on the things that bring you happiness, bring you joy, the relationships that bring you happiness and joy, and that sense of like depth and, like I said, understanding of one another. Focus on those relationships where the other people make you feel seen, make you feel loved, make you feel understood, and the other people that at least try to understand where you're coming from. and respect the way that you feel, and feel that and understand that your emotions are valid, okay? You really need to be putting more into that, and you'll see that there are people out there that will understand you and care for you and love you just as you are. You don't have to be anything different than who you are to be loved and cherished. Like, literally, I just looked over at SpongeBob and it literally made me think of SpongeBob. SpongeBob's like super bubbly and like loves life and just is himself. Like, he's authentically who he is. Does he does he let like Squidward's negativity bring him down? Like, let me just say real quick that I understand Squidward more as I've grown up, but like, does he let Squidward's negativity get him down? No. Does he let what like other people think about him get him down? No. He's just himself. And that's all that we can all be, right? Is just who we are. And we'll bring people to us that will love and appreciate us, like Patrick does with SpongeBob. They love and appreciate one another. And then we'll repel people who don't get us and that, aren't aligned with us. And that's okay. Like, we're not meant for everybody. We're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that's all right. You don't have to be. But really focus on the things that actually bring you joy. And think about your relationships with people and if they actually bring you joy or if they cause you negative emotions when you're around them. Really pay attention to yourself and how you feel when you have interactions with certain people. And then, go from there in terms of like what you want those relationships to be, boundaries you want to set, how much of yourself you give to those people. Lastly, with the Sacred Self-Care Oracle deck, we have Clean Your Space and Hydrate. So I think the Clean Your Space is actually kind of funny because, again, we had clarity here. And so there have actually been studies that have linked like your space being messy to like your brain being cluttered. So like when we clean our space, when we get rid of old things, when we organize, when we organize our space, we clean it up, we make it tidy, we allow for that to also happen in our minds. We allow for ourselves to clear out old negativity in our minds and like bring in new ways of thinking. So there's a lot to be said about how your space that you live in can affect your mental state, okay? So I feel like your inner child wants you to tidy up, to clean up your space, to also, focus on cleaning up your mind and the way that you think and the way that you feel. Mostly like, coming to terms with some of these, like this inner voice, this inner critic, and, really evaluating if that's your true self or if that's some BS that somebody put on you when you were a child. And it's just a negative voice that keeps coming up. One way to really tell is if the voice is critical, is harsh, is mean, is not understanding. Mostly for me personally, my inner critic is literally super critical. So mean, says things to me that I would never say to anybody else. And that's kind of how you know, right? That is probably not you. That's some shit that your parents put on you or other relatives put on you when you were younger. So yeah, clean your space. It'll allow you to better clear your mind. And then with Hydrate, I feel like this is coming up like as a reminder, take care of your body, take care of your vessel, take care of your physical self, because you're worth self-care, you're worth being taken care of, and you don't have to overextend yourself for other people for them to love you. Other people that are meant to love you are going to love you just as you are. So take care of yourself, because you are your biggest advocate. You are your biggest form of self-love and acceptance, and you really need to show yourself that you love yourself by taking care of you, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and leave your reading there, pile number 1. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that it resonated for you. I hope that it sparks like a journey for you in terms of healing your inner child. One thing that I will say that came up for me is, and this could be because I'm currently reading the book and I'm almost finished with it, but for some of you, you may want to look into the book Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents because for me, this book has been very eye-opening, has really like allowed me to examine myself and my relationships with other people. And I think that that may be helpful for some of you. So if you feel inclined to, I would definitely like suggest picking up that book, because I do think it's very helpful and insightful. But regardless, I hope that this was for you as well, that these messages resonated for you guys, pile number one. And again, I just want to thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this reading, please leave me a comment down below, give this video a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I do put out new pick a card readings every week, and I love you guys so much. Wishing you all the best in your healing journeys. And yeah, I hope to see you guys next week. Thanks. Bye. Hi there, pile number two. If you picked Pumbaa, then this is your reading for this week in regard to messages from your inner child. I just want to preface this reading by letting you guys know that my air conditioning is out again in my apartment, and so you'll probably hear my fan that I have going in the background. Like, I need it. It's hot in this room right now without it. So anyway, you'll probably hear that. My apologies if it bothers you, but I need it, otherwise I'm gonna die of heat. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get into your reading now that you're caught up to speed on what's going on here. So for you, we got the Vessel, we got communication, and we got love. First of all, I feel like the Vessel is coming up for you guys because I feel your inner child is wanting you to know that there's a lot that you've been suppressing for a really long time. I'm sure that by now you've probably heard this, but trauma is stored in the body. And so even if we have maybe like emotionally worked through things, if we haven't allowed for like that release from the body, our trauma can still be stored in certain areas of our body. And so, you know, for a lot of you, I get the feeling that you haven't worked through a lot of your trauma, and maybe you haven't acknowledged it, or maybe you don't feel like you actually experienced any trauma. But there's a lot of things that could have happened to you in your childhood that may have been traumatic for you, that, you know, your caregivers didn't realize were traumatic, or that for other people, you know, maybe they tell you that, oh, that's not that bad, this is what happened to me. But your experiences are valid, your trauma is valid, and I really do truly believe that no matter how hard our parents try, and like, even if we have a parent who like is a gentle parenting parent and who, you know, listens to us and like cares about the way that we feel, that there may still be something that occurs in our childhood that is traumatic for us that we may have to work through later, because I don't think anybody's perfect. And so I think that this is coming out because your inner child wants you to know that there's a lot that needs to be worked through, and that you're storing a lot of this trauma, this unprocessed emotion, this subconscious or unconscious like issues in your body, and it's having a negative toll on you. I get the feeling that a lot of you may have, you know, chronic health conditions even that may have developed due to the trauma that you experienced. I'll give you an example, and like, I don't mean to make this all about myself, but like, I'm somebody with thyroid issues, and something that I've examined within myself is that I have difficulty speaking up for myself, and that is an issue that occurred for me and started when I was younger and when I was a child. And so I truthfully believe that my inability to speak up for myself, even when like my mind is urging me to do it, led to like issues in my throat chakra area, and like me being in misalignment and developing thyroid issues. And you know, you don't have to believe that way, that's totally fine, but like, that's just an example that I wanted to give of like a real life experience of how that can happen. So you know, that could be an issue that you deal with, but you could also deal with like other chronic illnesses or conditions or ailments that may be due to you know, all of this pent up, unprocessed trauma within your body. I really also get the feeling that this may be the case because, you know, love came out and communication came out, and I feel like a lot of you maybe have suppressed yourselves in the way that you feel, or you have difficulty communicating your needs and your emotions to other people, maybe because you also weren't able to express yourself fully in childhood. Also, I feel like some of you may struggle with like the way that your vessel is, so like your physical body. Maybe you struggle with like loving and appreciating your physical body, and some of you may need to work on that. But overall, I feel like the love here is more about self-love and self-compassion, and I feel like a lot of you need to work on truly loving yourselves and showing yourselves the love, affection, compassion, consideration that you give to other people, okay? But also, you know, you do need to work on being able to communicate your feelings. There's nothing wrong with you feeling a certain way about anything. It's okay to feel a certain way. It's okay to express those emotions. It's just not okay to expect that, you know, other people are going to understand or receive that in the way that you want them to. So really, like, what we need to get past is this idea that, you know, when we express ourselves, other people will fully understand us and will, you know, show us the love and the empathy and that emotional connection that we're wanting. Really, like, the big thing here is that you just need to be open with communicating and expressing yourself. And the right people that want to understand you will, that like want to work on understanding you, or that can, you know, understand where you're coming from an emotional perspective. Those are the people that you want to be opening up to the most anyway. But I mean, overall, we do have to express ourselves in the way that we feel about something. We can't expect other people either to anticipate our needs and to know what we want if we don't express ourselves. So I think communication is a big thing for you. It's funny because Pisces is on here, like this is the sign for Pisces. And something that I find with Pisces in my own life is that a lot of the time you guys are so focused on like other people and how other people feel that you neglect yourselves and the way that you feel. And a lot of the time, like, that can turn into resentment when you're constantly accommodating for other people and you don't get the same accommodation or like treatment in return, if that makes sense. So some of you may have like Pisces placements or be Pisces, or that could just be like the energy of like how you kind of are. Maybe you've always put other people's needs above your own, and your inner child wants you to know that like it's time for you to start putting yourself in first place. It's time for you to start really caring for yourself and for your own needs and expressing how you feel about things, as opposed to suppressing that and always putting other people ahead of you, because ultimately, like, that's not good for anybody, and it will lead to you resenting other people because other people don't allow you the same. They don't do the same for you. And I shouldn't have said will. I just think that in most cases it does lead to resentment of other people, because you are always accommodating and caring of other people and thinking about, you know, always like one step ahead of how other people may feel or perceive you. And it's not your job to do that, okay? It's other people's jobs to express how they feel to you, and for you to then take that knowledge to, you know, not make them feel that way again, not cross those boundaries, you know, make accommodations or help where you can, and like where you feel comfortable with and where that doesn't cross your own boundaries, right? But like, it's not your job to anticipate how everybody's gonna feel and to worry about how everybody's gonna feel, because everybody's gonna feel differently about whatever you do, no matter what, okay? Let's take a look here at your tarot cards that we got for you to see what additional information your inner child wants to share with you. So we have the Sun, we have the Two of Cups, we have the Queen of Wands, we have the Nine of Pentacles, and the moon. Okay. Okay. Let me get a drink of water here real quick, you guys, and then we'll go over your cards here. So, I feel like your inner child with the sun coming out here really wants you to let yourself shine and to also build this relationship with your inner child. Your inner child is really feeling like neglected. Like maybe that's it. Maybe you've been suppressing a lot of your childhood trauma and experiences, and your inner child is ready to like come out and face those things. Wants you to work with yourself. So your inner child wants you to work with your inner child on healing a lot of those traumas, and allowing your inner child to come out and play and like have fun. I feel like so often we allow ourselves to get like bogged down by the expectations that our society has on us with being adults, that we don't allow our inner child to come out and like be free and frolic and play at all. And I really do believe that our inner child is like our deepest, most authentic core version of ourselves, like the child that we were before other people put their bullshit onto us, projected onto us, made us feel doubtful of ourselves in any way. Our inner child is like our purest version of us, and your inner child is really like begging for you to let it out and to like allow it to come out and express itself and play and enjoy. Like a lot of you may need to like think back to your childhood and the things that you enjoyed and starting to do some of those things again. So maybe you really enjoyed drawing. Maybe you need to start drawing again. Maybe you enjoyed painting. Maybe you need to start painting again. Maybe you enjoyed like playing board games. Maybe you need to do that more often. Whatever it is, like your inner child really wants to come out and play and connect with you. I really do see that as well in the Two of Cups. I feel like you've allowed this part of yourself to be so disconnected for so long that it truthfully wants to reunite with you, and wants to feel whole with you again, and wants to heal. I also think the Two of Cups is coming out here because there are parts of your childhood that you need to work through, and again, like reincorporating that inner child for you to be able to emotionally connect with another person as well. You need to be able to emotionally connect with yourself in order for you to be able to do that with another person, and for you to have like satisfying, fulfilling relationships. That's the best thing about like an emotionally connected relationship, somebody that you can really open up to, and vice versa, is you're able to fill each other's cups. You know what the other person needs. For instance, I think it's really important to understand your love language and like a partner's love language, or a friend, or family member, or whoever, so that you can better understand how they best receive love. So like my husband, for instance, one of his love languages is quality time. So I know when we spend time together, he really appreciates when I'm not on my phone, or I'm not distracted, or if we are able to even just like take a walk together and like really connect with one another, and talk about things that matter to us, because for both of us, like that emotional connection is very important. And so for us to be able to like relate to one another, understand one another, and connect with one another without being distracted by the outside world. So I think that your inner child wants you to do some examination of like what it is that fills up your cup, what it is that makes you feel loved, and to seek relationships like that with other people, but to also give that to yourself, right? Because the way that we receive love is how we can best love ourselves as well too. So one of my love languages is acts of service, right? So for me to really show myself that I love and care about myself, it's helpful for me to like pack a lunch the night before, or to make breakfast for work the night before, or to like check things off my list that are needing to be done. Like even cleaning for me is like a way of showing my self-love, because it's like me showing myself that I love myself enough to clean up my surroundings and make sure that like my mental state is good. Because for me, when my like surroundings are clean, when my home is clean, it provides me with a sense of like mental clarity, and I'm able to better, you know, be creative and like, you know, work on things that I'm wanting to do, because I've given myself that time and I've done that task for myself, if that makes sense. So, you know, really get to know yourself, know what you need, know what you crave in terms of love and affection from other people. Give that to yourself, and like really spend some time reconnecting with your inner child. In the Queen of Wands, I see that by you doing this, it's going to increase your self-confidence astronomically. I think that when we have traumatic events that happen in our childhood and make us feel disconnected, maybe even for a lot of you, I'm getting the message coming in now that a lot of you had to grow up quickly. Maybe you were an older sibling and you were parentified and you had to take care of your younger siblings before you were even done being a child. You know, maybe you also had to take that role of being a parent for your parent, and I want you to know that that wasn't your job. And what that can do is stunt your ability to listen to yourself, listen to your intuition, feel confident in yourself and the decisions that you make, because you weren't fully allowed to be a child and go through that stage of like processing and understanding. And so I feel like the Queen of Wands is coming out because your inner child wants you to know that when you do spend time to heal and reconnect to yourself, it's only going to allow you to be more confident in who you are, what you need, and the life that you're wanting to create for yourself. So, you know, it'll be like really important for you to heal so that you can better tap into that energy. But yeah, that feeling of being self-assured and self-confident, and a lot of that comes from our ability as well to speak up for ourselves and to communicate our needs and our emotions to other people, because in doing so, you essentially validate yourself by saying out loud, you know, what you did hurt my feelings because of this, the action that was done here, you know, it hurt my feelings, or it made me feel this way, or even, you know, as simply as saying like, I wish that you wouldn't say those things or do those things. They're hurtful to me. You know, you're validating yourself and allowing yourself to hear that it's okay that you're expressing that, and that you are completely valid in what you're feeling. And like overall, I just want you guys to know that communication is going to be really big for you, and it's really going to be important for you and like your healing to fully express yourself and tell people how you feel, and communicate what you need from other people, because other people can't read your mind and they don't know a lot of the time unless you tell them. Like obviously I think some people are more like in tune with others and maybe more in tune with others' needs, but it's not like we can rely on other people to know exactly what we need unless we clearly communicate that, okay? With the Nine of Pentacles, I feel like this is coming out because honestly, by you doing this and like re-tapping into who you are and becoming more self-assured and self-confident in the things that you need and the things that you want and the things that you believe you're capable of, it's going to provide you with like this sense of contentment, this sense of happiness and joy, and you know, really being able to grow and create like this ability to like cultivate who you are and like where you want to go. But I really do feel like overall, you know, you're going to feel very content in who you are, who you're becoming, like, and who you really are, I want to add. So like not who you may have been pretending to be or the role that you took on to satisfy somebody else as a child, but like who you really are, and like knowing that you are completely safe with yourself and like your inner child is safe with you. And I think that that's another thing too that your inner child like is needing from you, is they need to feel safe, because as children, you know, we need our lower Maslow hierarchy of need met, which is like food, shelter, safety. And I think that you really need to work on providing that for yourself and giving yourself that sense of love and safety and security. Because overall, like, we need to be able to cultivate that within ourselves. So essentially, like, cultivating that sense of safety and contentment within you. With the moon coming up, I really feel like it's emphasizing again that you have a lot of things to examine in terms of like your subconscious mind, your thought patterns, as well as maybe even the illusions that you've been putting on for other people. Also it's funny because this is the card of Pisces, and I said Pisces kind of came up for us earlier, so I could have some people here with strong Pisces placements. With Pisces being a mutable water sign, Pisces is like the shapeshifter, right? They're able to fit in wherever they need to, and they're able to mold themselves into whatever anybody else wants them to be. And I think that it's time for you to sit there and really evaluate, who do you want yourself to be? Not who everybody else wants you to be, or what everybody else would prefer that you are, but who you really are and who you want to be. And stop putting on illusions and like facades for other people. You don't need to do that. If other people don't love and accept you as you are, you don't need those people in your life. You need to keep those people more at an arm's distance, and celebrate the relationships that you have with people that actually fill you up, that actually care about you, and want to love you as you are, not the people that love you conditionally for who they want you to be, okay? So yeah, I feel like that's why that's really coming up for you guys here, okay? Let's take a look at the rest of your oracle cards here to see any additional information that we're getting here from Spirit, okay? Well, from your inner child. So we have Message in a Bottle. We have Don't Dim to Fit In. We have Be Still. And we have Alone Time. Okay, so these last two cards here that I put down are actually from the Sacred Self-Care Oracle deck. And I wanted to get these cards for you to get a better idea of things that you may need to do to connect with your inner child and to heal. So we'll get into those here in a minute. But with Message in a Bottle coming up, for me, this is really signifying like, so, okay, let me just show you here. You see how there's like a cap here at the top of the bottle? And like we have, I think that's a phone, like an old like rotary style phone here in the actual bottle. I feel like this is coming up for you guys again because you have suppressed your own feelings, like your own thoughts for a really long time. And I feel like this is again coming up as a signifier from the universe, from your inner child, that it's time for you to start expressing yourself and really communicating how you feel, and not bottling up your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings to please anybody else anymore, okay? It's time for you to open the bottle, let your feelings and your emotions out and be known. And like that is gonna be a huge healing like release for you to just be able to do that. And I know that's like easier said than done a lot of the time, especially when you've been so heavily conditioned to not express yourself in any way that may offend somebody else, or in any way that puts you in a position to not be lovable by others, not be lovable. First of all, you're always lovable, so like don't believe that shit. And the people that love you will love you no matter what it is that you express to them, no matter what it is that you communicate to them. So don't worry about that anymore. You really need to take the time to express yourself, okay? I feel like that's why this is coming up for you. With Don't Dim to Fit In, literally it's exactly what we were just talking about with the Moon card here. This idea that you've been putting on like a facade or an illusion of who you are to mold into what other people want you to be, or like the roles that other people have defined for you. You need to stop dimming yourself, or putting yourself into boxes or roles that don't fit you. You need to tap into who you truly are. And I really do believe that for you guys, pile number 2, it has to do with you connecting with your inner child and healing from some of the trauma that happened for you in childhood. You, again, don't need to be anything other than who you are. You don't need to be anything other than, literally, I was going to say the same thing again, but yeah, you get my point. You don't need to be anything other than who you are. You don't have to dim yourself to fit in with other people and neglect parts of yourself that are clearly crying for help. With the Vessel card here again, you don't need to shut down those pieces of yourself just to be loved and accepted by other people. Other people will love and accept you for who you are. The right people will, is what I'm trying to say. So like the right people who are meant to love you and give you the things that you're needing from them emotionally, they will love and accept you no matter what, no matter, you know, how bright you shine. They won't feel eclipsed by how bright you are shining. They will love the light that you put out into the world, and like you being your true authentic self will draw them in. Okay, so don't dim yourself to fit in. Don't ever do that. Don't dim your light. Don't dim who you are to fit into roles for other people and to fit into a mold other people want you to fit into. Need another drink of water here real quick, and then we'll get into these last two cards. Ooh, okay. So again, I wanted to get messages for you guys as to like how you can connect with your inner child, things that you can do for self-care, things you can do to help heal. And this is what came up here. So we have be still and alone time. I mean, they're pretty self-explanatory. Honestly, I feel like your inner child needs you to practice meditating more. Maybe for some of you, you may want to look into like the inner child meditations that are on YouTube for you to help connect with your inner child. But even just like being still, having some alone time, having time away from screens and other distractions, so you can really sit with yourself and like process how you feel and get to know who you are. But yeah, I think that these will be very important for you. Alone time can be some of the best time for us to make like self-discovery, for us to recharge, because you don't have like the influence of other people in the outside world negatively impacting you or bogging you down in any way. It's funny too, because like this looks like a hula hoop to me, so maybe some of you really enjoyed like hula hooping as a kid, I don't know, but like, you know, doing even something that's physical and like connecting with yourself, but giving yourself that time to do it alone, away from other people, I think will be very beneficial from you. Literally, like with the imagery too, like going to a body of water and just sitting there and reflecting and spending time with yourself, and really like examining your emotions, who you are, and the things that you want and need from other people, because those may be things you've never really asked yourself before. So, you know, I think that's why you need to be still and spend some time alone, so you can kind of get to the root of that and really understand, okay? So I'm going to leave your reading here, pile number 2. I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that it provides you with a sense of clarity, a sense of understanding. And I hope that for some of you that may have never done any inner child work, that this allows you kind of like a stepping stone to step into that and to start doing some of that work and healing. But anyway, if this reading resonated with you, please leave me a comment down below, give this video a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I do put out new pick a card readings every week. Thank you so much for joining me this week, guys. I love you. I hope all the best for you, and I hope to see you guys in next week's reading. Bye. Hi there, pile 3. If you chose Gerald, my friend Gerald here, then this is your reading in regard to messages that your inner child has for you. I just noticed this. I don't know why I noticed it earlier. Maybe 3 is a significant number for you because he's wearing 33, you know, Jordan's number. So I think that's really interesting, actually. But yeah. Anyway, that may have been why you were drawn to this pile as well. I'm going to keep Gerald out of the view of the camera because, my camera likes to focus on the face, so I don't want it to like blur out all of your cards for the reading today, but we'll leave him to the side there so that he can't be the center of attention for the camera. In case you can't tell, today is a different day for me. I filmed the first 2 videos yesterday and I'm filming this one today. Lucky you guys, my air conditioning is fixed in my apartment now, so you won't have to listen to a fan in the background the whole time while I'm doing your reading. So yay to that. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into your reading for today, you guys. So to start off, you have Eros, you have Strength, and you have Luck. Now, I am not the best at explaining Eros, so I want to go ahead and read from the book. This is from the Wild